The US-based son of Iran's ousted Shah has urged Iranians to stage more targeted protests with the aim of taking and then holding city centers as nationwide unrest intensified amid a new and near total internet blackout now in its second day with connectivity at just 1% of normal per net blocks. Authorities signaled a sweeping crackdown. The Norway-based Iran human rights group reports at least 51 protesters were killed in nearly 2 weeks of demonstrations, including 9 children under 18, with hundreds more injured. Tensions with the United States are sharply escalating as the death toll rises. Local sources have said the death toll in capital has risen to about 217 across 6 hospitals, mostly as a result of live ammunition fire.
هدف ما دیگر صرفاً آمدن به خیابان نیست. هدف آمادگی برای تسخیر مراکز شهرها و حفظ آنهاست.
To discuss this, I'm joined by a global affairs analyst from Ontario, Alexander von Rogen. Alexander, it's nice to have you around. Now, many analysts say these protests are rooted in economic collapse. Now, from a geopolitical lens, how much of Iran's current unrest is about domestic mismanagement versus what others understand as the pressure of international sanctions?
It's a perfect storm of everything right now. Iran has been facing protests since the Khomeinis took control back in 1979 after the fall of the Shah and the Islamic Revolution. It led to a hostage crisis with the Americans and their own embassy. But needless to say, the momentum right now, because of global events that have taken place, have created the perfect storm. Iran's under strict sanctions. The recent 12-day war in June took out 30 high-ranking military officials targeted by the Israelis. That, I think, demoralized their military, notwithstanding 11 of the nuclear scientists. But the Khomeiни's a very stubborn man, and he rules with an iron fist. If you say anything against him, it's punishable by death. I think what's happened now is the Iranians have had enough. The economy collapsing started it. Everybody is worried about their future, whether they can feed their children. But it's now escalated where people are thinking, why has the economy collapsed? Well, we've got an inefficient regime that's dictatorial and an extremist, and we've had enough. Notwithstanding that, you have pressures from the Americans. The Khomeini, of course, is blaming Israel and America for all their problems. Apparently, they've manipulated the weather, which has caused a major drought in Iran. It's the worst in recorded history. So that adds more fuel to the fire. If there's any good news here, it's that the death toll is so low. In previous years, if there was protest, the death toll would have been in the thousands. Perfect example is Masha Amini, the poor woman that was killed in police custody for not wearing her hijab. The morality police arrested her. This is how extreme the rules are in Tehran. She died in custody. People took to the streets, and there's no accurate records, but they estimate the death toll was in the thousands. In this particular case, you have every city in Iran protesting right now, and they've been doing it for multiple days. The final nail in the coffin, and political suicide, is when they turned off the internet. Because if you want to upset the Gen Zers, that's the best way to do it. That's how they communicate. They've overthrown Nepal. They've overthrown the governments of Bangladesh, Mozambique. Now we may see an uprising in Uganda. But the point is, if you play with the internet, maintain control, you're gravely mistaken with this new generation.
Okay, interesting. So we are seeing that the protest is moving or has moved from economic grievance to nationwide unrest. But then what does that tell you about the kind of regime or administration under Ali Khamenei, who is actually the leader, the supreme leader in the country? Because he has actually come out to say that even in the face of protest, he's not going to back down and there will be more crackdowns.
Well, he's delusional. Now, he's not unrealistic. A large sum of gold was transferred to Russia this week. I believe he's already making his escape plan to transfer wealth and establish his inner circle in Russia. As far as the government itself, it was a press release came out this week. They've applied for visas in France for their families. Do you think they're going on a vacation? They're planning an exit as well because they'll be tried for treason if a new regime sets in. Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah, has got an ongoing campaign to help lead a transitional government. That's gaining momentum. There's chanting in the streets. At first, they were economic chants. Then the chants changed to down with the dictator, meaning Khamenei. And the chants expanded to long live the king, meaning let's get the Shah back in here. So this is how it's evolved over the last few days. With the power being cut off now and the internet down, of course, news is coming in fragmented form. People are piggybacking to Elon Musk's satellite system, but that's only serving maybe 1% of the populace. So the information is fragmented right now.
So then how does sustained internal unrest in Iran affect its posture in the Middle East? Because we know that it has influence in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. And even as we see that most of these so-called Arab countries are trying to stand off or stand up to Western powers, but then they are being brutally destabilized either internally or by Western powers.
Well, it's kind of ironic, but you're correct. Iran and the Khamenei was sponsoring proxy wars. They funded Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and more relative to your part of the world in Africa, they have proxy upon proxy where the Houthis will fund al-Shabaab in Somalia. And in fact, recently, an emissary from Iran attended the Sahel nations, the tripartite alliance between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and offered support, which came in through Russian military security services. On a previous program I mentioned, I think that's a mistake on the part of the Sahel, but we'll see how that works out. How this affects the rest of the globe now, I believe positively, because there'll be these funding sources will be interrupted on the terrorist side. If there's a regime change in Iran, conceivably it's not going to be as it was. The support for these proxy wars will cease. My concern is if the Khamenei escapes and he has extreme wealth in Russia, he may continue to support those efforts out of spite and his delusional theories on his beliefs. So he's a dangerous man as long as he has money and power.
Okay, so, well, we are looking at the possibility of a regime change. I mean, that seems to be the call from the people, even as they continue to vex their anger on Ali Khamenei's regime. But then, are there alternatives? I mean, if there are structural issues and people asking for a change, are there really alternatives that can actually bring lasting peace to Iran? Just in about 30 seconds, please.
With the regime change, yes, I think there's going to be a lineup of nations willing to invest in Iran with the right conditions and rebuild the country. Israel has already got a campaign. Netanyahu went on television saying, "We are not against the people of Iran. We're against your regime leaders." and we welcome you, and we welcome you to do business, and we want to build a relationship with you. It was a very heartwarming speech that Netanyahu gave. People could argue he's being manipulative, but it was a heartfelt speech, and it was well performed from my perspective.
Well,
let's see how it's out politically.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexander von Bruggen, for sharing your thoughts with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Of course.